So before we start doing what we feel that we were put on this earth to do, we have to appreciate the building process and see the value in that. Setting that foundation on stuff first instead of just jumping into the deep end. Learn how to be in the 3 feet first. Learn how to walk around in 3 feet. Then go to the 5 feet. All this is building. So that's something that I learned. And not just understanding the process of building, because I was aware of that.
Welcome to We Invest Different podcast. I'm co-host John-Micah Bess.
And I'm co-host Victor Thomas.
And what We Invest Different podcast is all about is not conversations just about financial literacy or investing, but we dive into the things that we'll need in life, like character, integrity, and life principles and standards. And we also get to have conversations with other people who are different and add value to the world.
And what inspired us to start this podcast was seeing the influx of people, investing in the stocks, real estate, Bitcoins, or all the other coins. But we didn't want to neglect the other side of the investment, which is investing in ourselves and our mental well-being and our character. It's hard to maintain the money that we receive without making sure we're looking within. So we just wanted to make sure we shed light on that part as well.
Tapping in once again, man. Welcome to We Invest Different podcast. I'm co-host Mr. John-Micah Bess.
And I'm your co-host Victor Thomas II.
Man, it's a joy. It's a joy to be back, man. We done started our morning off unpredictable.
I'm talking about for real.
But God got away, man. That's one thing that I've been praying to ask, the Lord to keep my mind at, just to know that everything happened for a reason and that things don't always go as planned. But that shouldn't have our faith being deterred. You know what I'm saying? You still got to keep it moving, and you still got to continue to have that faith and know that everything is gonna be all right, bro. But
that's right.
With all that being said, bro, how you feeling? How you doing?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I'm grateful. Honestly, man, speaking to what you said about this morning being unpredictable, like you said, we was initially about to go volunteer and, do our Thursday thing. But I'm having some car troubles right now with my starter, unexpectedly. But this happening right now, just based on how my week has been and what I've been doing, it's definitely a sign for me that God got something going on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely holding on to that in this situation, because we all know car troubles is very inconveniencing. You know what I mean? And I got a lot of stuff I need to get done, and this right here happening. So I'm just leaning into faith even more and saying that because this happened, God moving something around, because usually when stuff happens in our lives, it usually means that it's a blessing somewhere coming up soon. So I'm just keeping my eyes open and just remaining grateful through the process of whatever come my way. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
For real.
Amen. And that's real. I felt that one, bro. Mm-hmm. I'm still waiting on you to ask me how I'm doing.
Oh, dang. My bad, man. How you doing, cuz? How you feeling, man?
Man, I'm well today. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, I've been feeling weird the last couple of days as far as my mental health. Like, I've been feeling like overwhelmed, but I'm figuring out, with just looking at myself and just taking a step back and trying to figure it out. I'm seeing that when I just put everything on my plate without doing something about what's already on my plate, I get overwhelmed and I get paralyzed.
I know about that, man.
So my thing is, like, I gotta stop letting things pile up. Like, if I got something to do it right then. Like, do it while you can, because you don't know what tomorrow may bring, and tomorrow may bring some more problems that you have to handle. And then you didn't take care of what yesterday. You didn't take care of what you were supposed to take care of yesterday. Now you got yesterday's problems and today's problems. So now you sitting there like, dang, I was supposed to do that yesterday. Then you're gonna take that guilt and add it on with what you were supposed to do today. And then today turns into how yesterday was.
Right. Snowball effect.
Right. And so that's what happened to me. And I really don't want to let that be a habit, because it's affecting how I'm feeling in my mind, because I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to get on Instagram. I didn't want to open my phone. But still, though, like if somebody was to call me, I still seem like I was normal. I still seem like I'm in good spirits. And I don't know what it is. Like, for me, it's automatic for me to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I found that also, too, when I try to express how I really feel. When I hear myself, I tell myself that it's nothing wrong with me. Like, after I hear myself say my problems, I'll be like, man, you ain't really good. That ain't really nothing, bro. Like, why you doing all that for that? That's how I be talking to myself. And I'm still trying to figure out what that is, bro, because I'm still suppressing my emotions even when I don't want to. Like, I don't want to suppress my emotions, but when I start expressing them and I hear myself express my emotions, it's like I downplay my own emotions. Like, I don't even give myself the time to say that I'm really feeling something because I feel like that ain't that serious.
That's a tricky one right there. So what would be the other option though? Like, what would you rather do or be able to do if you see anything that would be a different option or a better option than, telling yourself, how you feel ain't valid?
I really don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure out why do because I don't be feeling like I got a problem. Or maybe this is what it is. If I say it out loud, maybe I realize that it's not that serious. But when I keep it in, I feel like it's more of an issue.
Okay, I got you. That's valid.
So maybe it is a good thing if I speak it out loud. So then I can hear myself. Then I can really see what I'm feeling out loud. Because when you speak out loud and when you hear something, you get to see it.
I get what you mean.
So it's like, okay, by me speaking this out loud, I say, okay, this ain't that serious. I can talk myself through this. Like, okay, you can handle this, bro. It's not that serious. It's like you really giving yourself a positive self-talk when you speak out loud, because you get to hear yourself complaining.
Right.
You get to hear your problem that you're having. And then when you hear yourself, it's like, dang, I'm feeling like that about this. Like, it's not that deep. But when you keep everything inside, bro, everything seems a lot worse.
It do. And it's be bottled up still. But one thing that helped me a lot, and just going back to what I said in the when we first started this, like, things happening in my life, man. I've been, me and my lady, we've been working on our balance. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna get into all the details of that because, that ain't nobody business but ours. But, every relationship has its times. And one thing that helped me a whole lot is writing. You know what I mean? Writing down and don't hold back. Don't try to sound, I don't try to sound wise to myself or nothing. I write down exactly how I feel. I don't try to be positive. I don't try to look on the bright side. None of that. I let it all hang out. You know what I mean? And man, I swear that's gonna help me so much. And that's even when that's no matter what I'm frustrated about. You know what I mean? Just putting it down. And I got that from my mama. She had been preaching that to me my whole life. But, sometimes you just gotta grow into being able to use them tools, that we get from our elders. And man, that one helped me so much because it calms me down. It's like, okay, I can get it off.
I still feel exhausted, bro.
What you mean?
Like, I feel like mental health is so exhausting. It's exhausting for me. Like, so like sometimes I really battle with myself on whether I need medication or not.
Yeah.
Because I have my routines and things that I do. But I'm realizing this is one thing that I'm learning. I'm learning that things that you do is for things that I do for my mental health is for me to cope. It's not going to heal me.
Okay.
And I think sometimes we expect things to heal us, and when it don't heal us, we get even more depressed. So I think we have to check ourselves and we have to check our expectations. Well, I have to check my expectations because sometimes I be thinking things are gonna heal me when really it's supposed to just help you cope. Like, okay, I work out. That doesn't heal your mental health issue, but it helps you to cope better. It helps you feel better. It brings better energy to your life.
Right.
So that's just helping you cope. That's not gonna heal your brain.
Right.
Now, that's what's been my battle. Actually, I just had this understanding this morning. I didn't realize that I was putting those expectations on the things that I was doing, because I was ended up being more depressed because I was thinking that I was going to always feel better if I work out, or I think I'm gonna always feel better if I read, or I'm thinking if I'm gonna always feel better if I listen to classical music. But that's not true.
Yeah.
You're still gonna have your battle, but those things are just helping your quality of life, so you can feel better more than you feel bad.
Right. And I understand, because I've had a time, and sometimes I made do think about it still, because it does run in our family about taking medication for depression. Like, that's a real thing in our family.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But anyway, I remember when I had first went into detox to get off of alcohol and pills, and I went in there with every expectation of them to put me on medication. I was like, give me the medication. You know what I mean? Because something wrong. I'm trying to get fixed. I'm drinking every day. I'm drinking, not going to work. You know what I mean? I'm tripping. So whatever y'all trying to give me, give it. So I went in there and talked to them folks. After they do like an eval on you. And I told her, she was like, you don't need no medicine. She said, just stop doing what you're doing for a while and just wait for it to change. Just stop doing what you're doing for a while, then see what happens. You know what I mean? So when I hear that, when I got that in my mind and I hear what you saying, it makes me think about, okay, have you, and I'm not asking you a serious question right now, I don't want you to answer it right now, but have you done like a serious inventory of everything that you can do for your mental health? Before we get to thinking about medication and all that, have you exhausted all other options? You know what I mean? That's something that we got to think about. Because we can't just pick up one thing and say, okay, or a few things. We could pick up 4 things, and that might not be enough. Because usually when we got a mental thing going on with us, it's time for us to change our lifestyles.
Right.
You know what I mean? The lifestyle that we've been living, not for us no more. So it's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to feel weird. So now we got to get ourselves into this new space, and that means picking up multiple things or looking at things a different way and just practicing it every day. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, if what you doing, like working out and reading and listening to classical music, if that's not it, do some research and find more before you get on that medication. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we live a life that's not set up for us to be happy, but we expecting to be happy all the time. But we ain't even doing the stuff that needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's never been taught to us. So we might have to try this, try that, try a little of this. You know what I mean? Like, one thing that helped me was going to the beach. You know what I mean? When I was in Savannah, man, and I was probably about a year, maybe not a whole year clean yet, I would go to the beach and just sit out there, go out there early in the morning when it's still dark, and stay up there and watch the sun come up. That helped. You know what I mean? Just trying different stuff like that, or, I don't know, man. It's a lot of stuff to try. And that's all I'm getting at, cuz.
Man, that's real, and I think that helped me a whole lot, just sitting here thinking about the grand scheme, of my mental health. Because, you're right, because oftentimes we don't exhaust all options before we go to the easiest option of them all. Right. Because it's easier just to go to a doctor and them tell you what you need to do. But when you start loving yourself and you start realizing that there are things that you can do for yourself that you've been neglecting to do, and that you can start doing those things, and maybe that'll help. And so that takes my mind back to more things that I could possibly be doing, because this is not permanent for me. Like, these last little tough few days I had, we have our ups and downs. Like, so I'm not saying like that that I'm just like closing like case closed on myself, and like I'm to the point now where I'm just gonna go see if I need medication. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like, I'm just saying, like, I see that my issue, I just learned more about my issue is what I'm saying. Like, I learned more about it, and I see that I need to change the way I think about mental health, because it's all about healing. It's all about, because your coping is the first part of healing.
Right.
So by me just figuring out different ways to cope, that's gonna all of it is gonna ultimately help me heal. So it's coping is a part of the healing process. So although your coping is not, it may not heal you in 1 month, 1 year, or whatever X amount of time. I think we shouldn't think about it in terms of time or how long am I dealing with this, or I just think we should just enjoy the healing process. Don't put no time limit on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just enjoy the healing process. And I think that's where I am in my process. I'm learning different ways to cope. You know, I'm learning more things about myself. I'm learning more things about the brain, about mental health.
Right.
And, you know, I'm just enjoying this process. And, like, even with me having these bad little 3 days, I learned something within those 3 days about myself.
Yes, sir. That's the whole point, to learn something, man.
Exactly.
I know that's the whole point, to learn something. That's all it be. And I think even when we get into them depressed, I mean, really, my mind is kind of in a place of thinking like, okay, depression. We hear what depression is and what stuff causes it. But at the same time, and you might be able to give me some insight on this, but at the same time, I always hear that our brain is a powerful muscle. And from my understanding, depression is rooted in the brain. So, is it not possible for us to work our brain to not be depressed?
That's true.
That's, you know.
It's a training.
It's
definitely a training. But I think the key factor in healing anything is knowing more about the illness.
That's real.
So like I think that's why they tell you, that's why one of the first questions doctors ask you at an appointment is, what symptoms are you experiencing?
Mm-hmm.
You got to tell them something. You got to know a little bit of something about it. And I think that's the key factor, educating ourselves on whatever we're dealing with. Because the more you know about it, the more you're able to kind of communicate what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps.
Yeah, it does.
That helps. So,
see, I be thinking like, you know, once I realize, I guess I look at it as triggers. Because like when I was in rehab and stuff like that, with alcohol, they taught us about triggers. So with depression, I'm thinking that maybe something can be a trigger, but I also had instances where that depression just come out of nowhere. And it's not necessarily a trigger. But I know if we live in a life and we got a lot of stuff going on and, you know, we trying to figure stuff out, I think that's a recipe for depression. So I think in that point, we should figure out some kind of process to add to our lives that'll help combat those feelings when they do come that are a result of our lives. And I think one thing that helped me a lot, and I'm still practicing it, is that when I do have those thoughts that come that's negative or sad or angry, whatever it may be, depressed, whatever, I just try to speak. Like, I acknowledge it, you know, this is how I feel. This is how I feel, and this is why I feel. I tell myself that. And then I'll try to see what I can learn from whatever situation is bothering me, like you said. And then once I'm trying to learn something, I'll try to speak positivity on it. And say, okay, this is what this is. You know what I mean? But I'm going to take this from it. This positive thing from it. You know what I mean? And I'm going to start feeling better after a while. It might not be instant, but I'm going to get to feeling better.
Let's go back to what you just asked me about the brain being depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the brain not being depressed, like you said, you can talk your brain to not being depressed. Now, I don't think it's that black and white.
No, I ain't say you could. I was just wondering, could you?
Like, I'm saying, like, it's not that black and white. Like, yes, you can be healed from certain depressions, because, you know, it's certain levels. There's different levels of depression. Like, you got chronic depression. That's a lot worse. You know, you got suicidal thoughts. You got, you know, sometimes you hear things, you hear voices. Like, it's so many levels of depression.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so you can't, I won't say you can exactly just talk yourself
into not hearing voices and stuff.
Like, nah, like, that's on a different level. Like, at that point, you would have to really research and figure out what that root is, because everything comes from experience.
Yeah.
That's what I'm learning about mental health. If you're not born with the mental illness,
that's what I was finna say. I think you told me that someone just a chemical imbalance that you're born with, right?
Yeah. Sometimes, bro, it can be genetic, very genetic. Your mental health issue could be genetic, but outside of it being genetic, everything comes from an experience. Even if it is genetic, because DNA is memory, it's codes of information. That's how you get stuff transferred from generation to generation. All it is information encoded inside of you that resonates with who you are.
Right.
So with that being said, everything comes from memory or experience. So as far as your brain being depressed, it's a reason. Like there had to be an experience or something that you're holding on to that you haven't healed from that's causing you to be triggered in that way. Something is happening. There's a stressor. But see, depression is different because you can literally be depressed by some of the smallest things. Like your job. Like your test at school. Like it's so many different reasons to why a person can be depressed. A relationship problem. Poverty, not having food. It's so many things. Family issues, so many things that will cause depression. So because depression can come in so many different type of ways, you would literally have to try to figure out where is that coming from.
And I think real talk, man, I think a lot of people, and I don't know, man, because I don't want to take no shot at nobody. And man, I got to keep it all the way real. I think some people don't want to take the time and really dig into their uncomfortable feelings and feel them. Because sometimes you just got to feel it, man. You know what I mean? Whatever might be having us feeling depressed, sometimes we need to feel that feeling. Because at the end of the day, you know what I stand on. I stand on God. And those bad feelings that we have that are not because of a genetic thing, those are experiences that we are having to be a testimony to somebody else later. So I really think that we should really sit down, really look at ourselves, do a self-inventory. Sometimes we might have to look back 15 years and remember that thing that we try not to think about, that hurts us and has been hurting us and destroying relationships we've been in, that we've been holding to, that got us depressed today. But I think a lot of people don't want to go through that process, man. A lot of people don't want to.
I mean, and too, bro, being transparent, sometimes your triggers are people or things that you love.
Definitely can be.
And at that point, man, you gotta love yourself more. And like sometimes you don't love yourself more. Sometimes you literally do love that person that's your trigger more than you love yourself at that moment.
That happens.
And it's like, dang, you my trigger, but I love you. So I'm gonna go through this. I'm gonna feel what I feel, even though I don't like it. But I'm gonna do it because I love you and I still enjoy you being in my life.
Yeah.
So it becomes to be tough, and I think that's sometimes of the reason why we don't make those changes and we don't make those decisions to take a step back and make changes, because that change that we have to make is going to change us. It's going to change the way we do things. It's going to change the way we've been doing things. And it's going to change the relationship that we have with that person that might be your trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because I'm living through that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to talk about that, but I'm saying I know one of my triggers is some people that I care about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that causes it to be a little tougher to let go or to deal with those issues, because even the other person the person that's your trigger might not understand how they're your trigger, or like you won't be able to communicate what's going on with you with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you won't be able to sit down and have this conversation.
Why not though?
Because of the place the other person is in. Like I say a lot of times before, like, a lot of people don't know what mental health is, man. They don't know what it's all about. They don't know what it is. So this person that's triggering you they don't even know what mental health is. So by you coming up to them talking about some, you affect my mental health, they're going to be like, what?
But look though, that's the testimony right there. You shining light by your experience to them. You telling them your experience and what you feeling, and you also teaching them. You enlightening them. So it's not you doing God's work. Two what they call it, 2 birds with 1 stone. Cause for one, you opening up a flow of communication. And then 2, You teaching them about mental health. That's your duty, cuz.
Well, shoot.
God gave you opportunity to do your duty, man. Do it.
Speak the Lord then, bro.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's it.
That's
well,
opportunity.
That's it right there. And that's why, you see how this conversation about mental health inspired into you actually helping me in real time? Like, and these people that's listening to this podcast, like, heard that you really just helped me in real life, because I definitely deal, with people who are not the most positive people.
Right.
And some of those people happen to be people that's in my family and people that I love very, very dearly.
Right.
So, but like you were just saying, by me having that conversation, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
Because like you were saying, I'm shining awareness on how I feel. And if that person loved me, they'll listen to me. So by us having this conversation, they get to learn about how I feel, and they get to learn about what mental health is. So like you said, man, like, I thank you for that, because that showed me a whole nother flip side.
Yeah. And that's all I try to do every day. Whenever I see a situation, like I just said, if I feel some type of way about it, okay, what can I learn from this? You know what I mean? Okay, I'm gonna take this from it, something positive, and that's positive what you can do, real positive, because they gonna take that. Yeah, man. Like, I promise you, bro. You had that conversation with anybody about mental health, they gonna bring it up again somewhere else, and then somebody else gonna hear it and be like, "What you mean mental health? You know what I mean? You don't know nothing about no mental health." Yeah, I'm talking to so and so and so. Now word spreading about mental health at the street level.
For real, man.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It just, it sometimes sucks that we have to go through hard times in order to really shine a light in the world. But, that's why being a light shiner ain't for everybody. It's only a chosen few. And I know for a fact you one, cuz.
Pressure make diamonds.
Yeah, man, it's the only way.
Pressure make diamonds. And that's why, man, I really want to have this mental health 10 minutes race. As we all know, we started a movement called Mental Health 10 Minutes. And that shines a light on what we're talking about in this conversation, because I literally live this. I've seen the results of just taking time out, just something as little as 10 minutes, because in times past, and I still have a struggle with being consistent at something. Mm-hmm. Growing up, I struggled with being consistent. I was always good at things, but when I stop wanting to do something, I'm always going to go to something else. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so as I grew and started seeing that problem within myself, I started saying, you know what? Start trying to the last out, and start trying to endure through everything that you start. So with that being said, I know that I can commit myself to 10 minutes. And I feel that everybody is capable to committing themselves to 10 minutes, because sometimes it takes us 10 minutes to figure out what we want to eat. Right. Sometimes it takes us 10 minutes to create a Facebook post. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying some of the smallest, the simplest things that we do takes 10 minutes. So why can't we commit 10 minutes to ourselves and to invest that time into our mental health, into our well-being, into how we feeling on a daily basis? Mm-hmm. So that's why I want to have this race, man. Like, this race of where we come together and we run together and we shine the light on how important it is that we spread mental health awareness, because stress is one of the leading causes of most physical and mental illnesses in our communities. And I'm talking about the Black community. Like, so much comes from stress. And like, not just mental illness, not just physical illness, but mental illnesses as well. I know stress causes strokes. Stress causes heart attacks. Stress causes heart disease. It's so many things that stress causes in the physical body, but also stress causes depression. Stress causes anxiety. Stress causes suicidal thoughts. Mm-hmm. Stress causes violence. Stress causes anger. You see what I'm saying? It spirals into so many things that's destructive into who we are. You see what I'm saying? So, with all of that being said, if we just take the time out, it lowers our stress. Literally, if you walk outside, breathe. Walk outside, because 10 minutes is a long time, bro. I'm not saying that 10 minutes is like some snap and it'll be over, but what I'm saying is it's a little time. But within that time, your mind will release some things.
For sure.
By you putting that energy into releasing for those 10 minutes, it will do your body and your mind some good. And I know, like, after the first 10-minute walk that you take, like, you're not just going to be healed. And that's why I was talking about early in the conversation. We can't think that we're going to be healed by doing things a few times.
Real talk. And another, I was just thinking about too, man, like, we got to be willing to let go of stuff. Because it just seemed, I know me personally, I'm going to speak for myself. I thought that I would be able to become better and keep doing the exact same shit I was doing. Just, I'm getting my mind right. You know what I mean? If I get my mind right, then I can keep doing the same bullshit that I'm doing. Like, no. Shit gotta change, man. I'm talking about life, like daily routines, all that gotta change. Sometimes people we interact with, stuff gotta change, because we'll be amazed at how much of this depression and stress and anxiety could be coming just from our everyday routine. The stuff that we do, the people that we hang with. You know what I mean? So, with depression, that's, you know, that comes from, you know, life, stuff that happens, not the genetic version, but depression and stuff that come from life. Like, we really got to put effort into changing our life, doing different things, exploring different things. You know what I mean? And it's just sad to see people that, you know, sit back and just say, well, this is my life and I don't like how I feel, but not trying to change nothing. Because I think that once we change our daily routines and, you know, we got to change as a person, man. That's what I'm learning. Because I'm changing right now from where I was before. I'm still in my process. And I'm seeing that me changing myself as a person is really the key, man. Like,
but see, that takes consciousness, though. You know, you became self-conscious. You know, through your process of changing, you became self-conscious. And you start monitoring the changes that you need to make and the changes that you are making. But I'm thinking about those people who don't have that consciousness, who feel that how I feel is how I'm supposed to feel. Yeah. Like, I don't feel like I don't have no discernment about how I feel today.
Yeah.
Like, just how I feel is just how I feel.
That's
It's just
what it is.
And so, like, okay, if I wake up feeling bad today, I'm not going to be like, why am I feel bad? It's just going to be like, I feel bad today. So what can I do to feel better? So most of the time we turn to the things that we normally do on our everyday routines, like you was just saying. And some of those routines may be, shit, I'm about to smoke one, or I'm about to go get a drink, or I'm about to go do something. I'm gonna have to do something to feel better. You see what I'm saying? I always have to go try to find a release or trying to find a relief from how I feel, instead of really paying attention and figuring out why I'm feeling this way in the first place. And that's more so what, like, the issue, like, that's why I really do this mental health awareness thing, because I'm fighting for those people who don't even know nothing about this. Mm-hmm. And that's another reason why I want to do this race, because it's going to shine awareness, like, mental health is a real thing. And so, like, by people learning that mental health just literally means the healthfulness of your mind and not all of this extra stuff, I think more people will know more about it. We got to make it simple. Yeah. Like, not so complex, but make it simple. Like, mental health just means the healthfulness of your mind. That's it.
But but with the race, like, how can we, like, just thinking right now, like, how can we implement the whole thing of just because you running don't mean you cured? You know what I mean? How can we let people know that too?
Definitely want to have.
Because for somebody that don't know nothing about it and they're like, run for 10 minutes, they might pick it up like, oh, that's all I had to do, and I'll be good. You know what I mean? Now they do it and it don't work like they did, like they thought it would, and now they like, well, fuck running.
Well, really, that's why we have to communicate that, and we have to help them understand what's being done, not just coming out there and just running. So we want to have a space in the day to where we communicate and have a discussion about what's taking place and the importance of what's taking place. Because, like I said, some people don't know what mental health is, and that when we have mental health conversations, it's not all the time about us being depressed. Sometimes it's just we want to feel good. We want everybody to feel good. We need to have that be an important conversation as well. Like, we're not just coming up here to meet to talk about the negative things about mental health, but we are shining light on having great mental health. Not just shining light on the negative things that we face in mental health, but having better mental health. That's the thing. We want to have better mental health, and these 10 minutes that we are promoting is in hopes that you will have better mental health. If you understand what I'm saying, like these 10 minutes is for us to have better mental health.
Right.
Not just to be totally healed, but it's a process. And we want to have people understand that this is a process. And these 10 minutes is just making you stronger within this process.
Just one thing to add to your process.
Yes.
That's right.
Just 10 minutes. You know, that's a start. And see, that's what I'm saying. I'm not just saying just these 10 minutes. But 10 minutes is a start. And I feel that everybody have that muscle within them to do 10 minutes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just 10 minutes. And if you don't run, if you don't exercise like that, take a stroll. Because nature is a healer too, because God created the whole universe and how everything works. You can see God just by being in nature. Because if you notice, nature is not negative.
What you mean by that?
Nature is always productive. See, man did things to the earth to make the earth go down, yes. But if you look at how the ecosystem works, God got the ecosystem working in productivity.
All the time. You're right.
Everything is in productivity. Universe is in
24/7.
productivity. It's in order all the time.
It ain't never trying to hurt itself, doing nothing bad to itself.
And the thing about it, it only can do that.
Right.
God got it set to where it only can do that. So if you connect it.
Go ahead.
So by you being connected, hey, you connected more with the source. You connected more with the source of everything. So if you connected with nature, man, you have more peace because God is peace.
And that just made me think about the devices that we use every day and how depression can come from that. And just with us being in nature, we also removing ourselves from that. You know what I mean? Getting in touch with the source and who we are. You know, we in nature and it's just us. Just, you know, nothing else, nothing more, just us. You know what I mean? And that seemed like a recipe to really get in tune with the Creator, man. You know, when we not looking to nothing, just looking ourselves. And I think once we really get to the point where we can really look at ourselves 100% and, you know, catch that flow that the ecosystem is built on, that we are also a part of, man, I think some beautiful things are happening. Beautiful things have happened when I've spent times in nature like that, just like going to the beach. You know what I mean? It's like you get back in tune with alignment, man. You know what I mean? I stress that word so much, alignment. And that really be all we be missing sometimes, because I really think that some people that think they depressed might not be depressed. I think they might just be living a life that got them sad. But do you think there is a difference, though? Do you think there's depression and then there's, I'm just sad all the time because my life is shit?
But see, living a life of shit, it leads to depression. And see, that's why we want to create a better quality of life. And that's what this all about, you know what I'm saying? Because when you have a low life, you have a low mental health.
Right. But see, would that be considered? Well, I guess that would be considered depression.
Yeah, everything is connected, bro. Yeah. Like I said earlier, everything that affects your mental health in a bad way comes from negative. It's coming from a negative experience in some sort.
But see, I think sometimes I be thinking that depression and stuff like that is from a chemical imbalance.
All of that, the things that happen to you creates that chemical imbalance. You know what I'm saying? Once you go through that experience, all of your senses, your whole being has experienced that. So that's why it becomes a part of your memory. And if you don't effectively heal from that, it affects your mind.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? Because like I was talking about this a few months ago, man, we can go on and on about mental health because it's so connected to the way we live our lives. So what I'm saying is like all of your senses, right, is how you experience life. Without your 5 senses, you can't experience the fullness of life. So when your senses experience certain things, that's why it applies to your memory. Because you experienced it. You experienced it through your senses. That's the only way you can remember something. It went through your senses. Without your senses, you wouldn't be able to experience anything. It's kind of like a person that's paralyzed, right? A person that's paralyzed, he can't experience certain things because he can't feel it.
Right.
Feel is one of your senses. So he can't experience that fullness of life because he can't feel something. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that's like your senses is like literally, bro, how you receive something.
Right.
So yeah, we are affected. Our mental health is affected by what our senses have experienced. And if we don't heal from what our senses has experienced, we have malfunctions. Because we'll be stuck on that memory. Our body be stuck in that memory.
And you know what's crazy though about that?
What?
Our body will sit there and be stuck in there, or our mind to be stuck in that place or that situation we experienced through our senses, and we don't even know we stuck there.
Exactly.
Like I've heard situations where people have experienced situations and they don't recall nothing of it.
For real?
Yeah. Like for example,
Black
somebody
out.
told me one
Black
time.
out.
Somebody told me one time that they had a family member pass away, a close family member. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And it hurt them very bad. It hurt them bad to the point of they don't even remember the funeral, and they was at the funeral. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was out of it.
So sometimes we really gotta, cause a lot of times our mind, it'll try to, okay, I don't want to think about this right now. I'm never gonna think about this. It hurt too bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's deep suppression right there.
Yeah, man. And that's why I think a lot of times, bro, we just gotta sit down. Cause I remember me personally, man, like I remember when my parents got divorced when I was 8 years old. Now, at the time, 8 years old, I can see what's going on. I was a bright child. I could pick up on stuff. Mm-hmm. Wise, you know what I mean, for my age. So when they got divorced, I understood why. It wasn't like a whole, why y'all breaking up? Oh, mom and daddy breaking up. It was more like okay, yeah, y'all two motherfuckers probably do need to be apart. You know what I'm saying? Just to be real. I'm like, I'm cool with it. It's cool. And bro, I swear, bro, when I was in Savannah, and that might have been, maybe about 2 years now? 3 years? I don't know. Maybe about 3 years now. Yeah. I finally had the epiphany of like, damn, my parents got divorced and that shit sucked. And I was, 28. 20 years later, bro, I sat down, had a chance to sit down and really look at my life and, do my self-inventory. It took me 20 years to finally be like, dang, my parents got divorced and that's some bull. So that's what I mean by we can sit there and not even realize we holding on to stuff. Just got to really sit down in silence sometimes, man. And I had that epiphany when I was going to the beach. I would go to the beach periodically, early in the morning. But sometimes we just got to remove ourselves from everything. A lot of times we stay depressed because our mind is always distracted. Our mind never has a chance to heal because our mind is a part of the ecosystem too. So it's going to do what it need to do too. But hell, we got to give it a chance.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to go on. Our minds, even if it's damaged, it continues to move. Mm-hmm. So and time continues to move. So the longer we continue to go without healing or without trying to heal or trying to cope with whatever we have going on, like your brain is gonna still continue to be the way it is. And
right. And it's gonna keep and if you don't deal with it, it's gonna take you into in a worse situation. Like you may think that you doing good with not dealing with that stuff, but you're going to find yourself in some situations that are going to be a result of that unhandled trauma or unhandled situations. Like, just think about it. People get into relationships and they be toxic than a mug, you feel me?
Yeah.
And they probably don't know why. But if they really look into themselves, they'll see like, oh, dang, I had an auntie or something like this and I saw her do this and I looked up to her, so I started doing it too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It be stuff like that, but we'll never come to them conclusions, bro, until we sit down in silence. Like, priority, man. We can't be like, I'ma grind myself to happiness. You know what I mean? I'ma fuck myself to happiness. I'ma smoke myself to happiness. Like, nah, sit down somewhere and do nothing. Do nothing. Just sit there. And that's a hard task for some people, cause them thoughts come. That's why meditation be hard at first.
Yeah.
Cause them crazy thoughts is gonna come, bro. Them crazy thoughts come and it's uncomfortable. But I swear the other end of it, man, it's so beautiful.
And like moving forward in the podcast, man, before we move forward, I do want to let everybody know, man, that all of this is a process. You know, us having this discussion, we being transparent, we talking about different things in different situations. This is not saying that we have all the answers. This is not saying that we don't have issues ourselves. We're actually showing y'all that we do have issues and that we're working through them, and we want to do it all together. Because that's what it takes with the mental health community. It takes us being vulnerable. It takes us being transparent, because that's the only way that we can inform each other and continue to inform ourselves and help one another. So with that being said, we're going to transition into the next segment of the podcast. As you guys always know, we want to tell y'all what we learned. You know, so within this segment, with what you learned, we want Vic to go ahead and start us off. Like, what's something that you learned recently, this week, last week, today, yesterday, anytime, you know, that you've learned that you can tell somebody else and they also can learn something from it?
One thing I learned is that I have to see the value in building. Because a lot of times I want to come into situations and everything already be set up for me to do what I do. But there are some situations where you got to come in, and before you even start doing what you do, you got to build some stuff up first. You got to set a foundation on some stuff. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, I ain't going to say a lot of I naturally would look at that as like, dang, I got to do more work. This ain't going to be the way I want it for a while because I got to build it. But in all actuality, it is a blessing, because if you build it yourself instead of it coming to you built, you get to know everything that's in it. You get to know everything about it. You know what I mean? You know, just like with a building. If you build a house, you know what's inside the walls. You know what's in the roof. You know what kind of nails they use. You know what I mean? You know everything about that house. So if something go wrong later, you have a better chance of rectifying that issue as opposed to somebody that don't know nothing about what went into building it. You know what I mean? And that's what I learned. Like, value building. I know sometimes we be ready to go and do what we want to do, but sometimes you got to build some stuff up. And sometimes that could be ourselves. Sometimes we got to build ourselves to a certain point before we actually move in our purpose. Or in a relationship, we might have to, you know, help build our partner to a certain point before we can do, before what God set that couple to do in the world. Sometimes y'all got to get built first. And it will take effort from both ends to do that. Or even with starting a business. You know, a lot of people think I'm going to just go into business. But they didn't even set the foundation of consistency, patience, faith. You know what I mean? Ain't research what goes into that kind of business. That's building. So before we start doing the stuff that we feel that we are set on.
Yo, what's going on, podcast family? It's the CEO, Mr. John Bess, and I'm coming to talk to you about Anchor. If you haven't heard of Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free, and it has creation tools so you can record your podcast from your phone and your computer. Also, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Music, and many more platforms. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Now, if you're interested, download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Now back to the show.
So before we start doing what we feel that we were put on this earth to do, we have to appreciate the building process and see the value in that. Setting that foundation on stuff first instead of just jumping into the deep end. Learn how to be in the 3 feet first. Learn how to walk around in 3 feet. Then go to the 5 feet. All this is building. So that's something that I learned. And not just understanding the process of building, because I was aware of that, but really appreciating it from the standpoint of knowing everything about what you built. So moving forward, everything in place. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel that. It's really a transparent moment for me, because I started one of my businesses without knowing how to actually structure and build a business. So I was basically just having a hobby, just enjoying what I'm doing, and just having a hobby without no structure. Right. So it's definitely important to understand that you have to build something in order to build on something.
Right.
So man, what I recently learned is something that I've already had in my value system, but I just internalized it on another level. And that's dependent on God for everything. Cause I know, like, every now and then you'll get some money, right? And if God asks for something, you will start questioning what you have to do first, instead of just doing what he asks you to do. Because you think you won't get what you need done if you take care of him first. But how does that work? Like, how will you come last if you take care of God first? And so that's like what's been my main thing with just moving in faith. Just understanding that money don't take care of me. Business don't take care of me. My food don't even take care of me. God take care of me. Because we start relinquishing our power. We start giving power to all of these things that's not God. Like, okay, cool, my business could pay a bill, but I didn't pay that bill. God allowed that to happen. God allowed that process to start. God sent me that client. God gave me the mindset to even start this business to be able to receive a client. God gave me the strength to go out there and do my services to give that client what he wanted.
Yes, sir.
Like, God is the source of everything, and like, I want to live with that every single day, because that's how I can allow him to move through me. I know that he take care of me, so I need to look to him more. If we look to God more, we'll have a better life. Because every time we try to do things ourselves and try to handle every situation ourselves, like we were talking about earlier, a lot of depression comes, a lot of feelings of sadness comes. And I think what you was talking about when we were talking about nature, having that connection with God will also help us cope with our issues in life. So when you do go on that walk, that 10-minute walk, if you don't run or anything like that, start trying to have a connection with the higher power. If you don't know God, or if you don't go to church or anything like that, just understand and know that there is a God that created every single thing that you see in existence. And don't see. So just by you calling out to him, he will answer you if you do it in a sincere manner. Like, if you don't know him, that don't make you an enemy. Like, he's not your enemy if you don't know him. He loves everybody. So by you calling out to him and requesting him to enter your life, hey, the true God and true powerful omnipotent God, he will come to your side. Like, he's already there, whether you know it or not. But with that acknowledgement, he will let you know he's there. So my whole point of what I learned is that keep God number one. Because if you keep him number one, you can't help but be number one. Even if it don't seem like it. Like, he gonna always look out for you because you looked out for him. But if you put him on the back burner, and then you start going through all of these problems and situations in life, we can't be surprised, because we put the one that has our life in his hands, we put him on the back burner. Like, how does that sound? That don't make sense. Like, if we was on a murder bus, right? If it was a bus where everybody on this bus was getting murdered, and you had to convince the driver of that bus to let everybody live, if you had to do that, you would be doing all it can take. You would be doing all you can do to convince that driver to let y'all off that bus. But see, we don't give God that same power because we don't see God with our natural eyes. But God got that same power. Like, he got everybody's life in his hands. He can, like, you wouldn't have woke up this morning if you decided that it was your time. But we don't look at God like that. We don't look at him like he got that type of power, but he does. And I think that's what we need to respect God. We gotta respect God, and we gotta notice that God, he really that nigga. Like, I ain't trying to be funny, but he the one.
The only one.
The only one. So with that consciousness, I want to move about life, with everything, my finances, my spirituality, my mindset. I just want to be in a place to where I can continue to put God first and allow him to use me. So with that being said, man, remember to check out our store, www.fnfstore.com, where you can see some positive apparel. Of course, we got our Financial Fashion logo, and we stand for mindset, faith, education, and wealth, because with those 4 things, there's no way you can't be successful. And so check out our hats, check out our hoodies, check out our joggers, check out our t-shirts, our accessories, all the above. And also, if you want to support our podcast, we do have a link on Spotify to where you could donate $5 a month, $1 a month. It's different levels of what you can donate, but donate whatever you can so that we can continue to drop our content and keep being productive and release these episodes as frequent as possible. So with that being said, anything left you got, Vic?
Remember God, man. And just try to remove yourself from I guess you call it entertainment, but sometimes they cut off the TV, cut off the music, and just sit in silence and just see what happens from there.
Hey, man. Remember, take y'all mental health 10 minutes. If you're able to post your 10 minutes on your social media, please use hashtag MH10 or mental health 10 minutes. And that way we can create this community that we are building up on every single day. So with that being said, see y'all for a conversation, 7 next week? Which one? Either way it go, we're going to be back dropping some more content. I'm Mr. Bess.
And it's Victor Thomas II.
And we out.
All right.